Hello and welcome to the Relationships Podcast. Everyone's been asking me what the name of this podcast is going to be, and I've not revealed it because it's your name.
I'm really proud of you for doing that. I know that'd be hard for you.
I've built suspense without giving anything away for once in my life. It's crazy.
It's Relationships, where we talk about all the shit in relationship.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the nice things too.
We do. This is your new cozy home of all things love.
Shit.
We're going to talk about the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, and especially the ugly.
That's why we're in our pajamas right now.
Especially. We're not ugly though.
No.
Cozy.
We're cozy.
Yeah.
In an ugly kind of way.
We're going to make fugly the new thing, but not fat and ugly. It's fun and ugly.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know the ugly friend that everyone hangs around with because of the personality.
Yeah.
That's us, but as a couple.
That's us. Yeah. So true. So true. It's actually so not true. We're actually really cute.
We are.
We're really cute in every way.
Yeah.
Inside and out.
So.
That's one thing I actually wanted to talk about. That's a topic I want to talk about, but we'll come back to that.
Yeah, good. We'll come back to it. So, Talia, tell me something shit about our relationship this week.
You've been thinking about this all day, haven't you?
No, I haven't.
Have you not?
Not at all.
Are you really pulling one out of your bum right now?
I've genuinely been too busy with work. It's like...
Okay.
No idea.
Okay, for me, something that's been shit.
Have you been thinking about it all day? Have you actually been thinking about it all week? Because I've been annoying you that much.
So much. I think you'll be surprised by what I'm about to say.
Okay, surprise me.
Or maybe you won't. I don't know. I feel like I don't surprise you anymore. I feel like you know me too well that I don't surprise you. But the thing that's been shit about my week this week is actually... I don't know how to describe it, but it's actually like adjacent to our relationship. But it's me. My relationship this week is that I have been very insecure at the moment. I've been very in my head. And you've been great. You've been perfect. You've actually been better than perfect. You made me cry because of how perfect you are. But it's been shit because there are times in your life, especially I feel like when you get together young. I mean, I say young, like we were 19 and 20, but that is young. When you get together younger and you grow together, you go through these phases where you're in a growth period, whether that's emotionally or whatever, spiritually, physically, whatever it is. But I'm in a growth period at the moment, mentally, and I'm currently like just a very negative space about myself. And I feel like I'm not deliberately taking anything out on you. Wait till you stop rascally. I'm not deliberately taking anything out on you. However, you are the closest person to me whilst I'm going through this phase, and you're seeing every asset of it. And part of that is like grumpy moodiness. And it's shit because I don't want to feel this way, and I don't want to project anything onto you, and I don't want you to feel any type of way. But at the same time, there's only so much I can control it while I'm like in the depths of the trenches of it. And so that is what's shit for me right now in our relationship this week, because I just feel like I'm bringing a very negative space to the relationship. I'm actively trying not to. Like, I am actively fighting against it, but there's only so much control I have over it.
It's actually so interesting.
Yeah, that's my relationship this week. What's yours?
It's actually kind of along the same vein, but like, not that you're the problem. It's like
me.
Yeah.
Hi.
So, for me this week, I actually feel like I've been very absent. And if you feel that way or not, like that, I felt like I've been very absent because I've got so much going on in my head. And so there are 100% been times where I feel like I'm overcompensating for the fact that I feel like most of the time I'm unable to give you my attention.
I see that.
So like last night, I gave you so much attention and everything that in that moment you really needed, because in general I've been really absent and not paying attention because
really?
I've had just so much in my brain, and in the nicest way possible, I've not had time to put your thoughts and needs first.
I know that. I feel that.
Yeah.
I felt the absence.
And so like but
I felt the absence. And I think some part of me was like, you deserve this because you're being a witch.
No.
I say deserve it as if it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
It was actually entirely unrelated to you. I've just got so much going on that like we've spoken so much about going on our own independent journeys and like focusing so much on personal growth, that part of that personal growth means being selfish. And when I'm focusing on things that are going on inside of my head, I know you've noticed there are things you've told me recently that I don't remember.
Everything I've told you recently, you don't remember.
Because I'm not here so much as the time.
It's beyond that. I'm having a conversation with you and your eyes aren't even here.
Yeah.
I know you so well. I know when you're not listening.
Yeah.
You don't surprise me when you don't remember things. I still am allowed to get annoyed about it because it annoys me that you pretend that you're hearing things and you're not.
But
I'd rather you just be like, I'm not here right now.
But I've also had the bandwidth to be able to give you those moments where I'm like, okay, I'm actually going to give you my undivided attention, and more than that, I'm going to make up for the things that actually I have subconsciously picked up along the way, and I know that you've had a bit of a rough time.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah,
that's so interesting that you feel like that's you making up for things when you are literally just the exact thing that I need in a time of need. Like, that's how I see it.
Yeah, but the fact that you're getting to a time of need means that, like, I feel like I'm not doing,
it's not your job to fix it.
No, I was going to say not that I'm not doing my job, but, I'm not there to be the support that you need on a more regular basis. I'm one of the big things that I've been striving for recently is consistency. And when it comes to our relationship, I feel like I've been somewhat inconsistent. So my relationship for this week has been my inconsistency. It's not necessarily, and also my, absentness in my brain at times. So I have stepped in at the times where it's been beneficial, but just the inconsistency with it.
Yeah, do you know, I think it's something so interesting. So for anyone who doesn't know us,
hi,
I'm Talia.
I'm Oscar.
I don't think we actually introduced ourselves at the start.
No, I don't know if we did.
My name's Talia.
I'm Oscar. We would have said that.
We did. I'm 24 years old.
I'm 25 years old. I'm an old timer.
You are. You're going to be 26 this year.
I am. You're going to be 25 this year.
I'm going to be 25.
That's how this works.
It's so true. And we have been together for almost 6 years this year. This year in August, so it's currently April, and in August we will have been together for 6 years this year, which is ridiculous. Actually,
we have lived together for since February of 2020.
Yeah, so 5 years.
5 years.
Over 5 years.
So basically 6 months of our relationship, we didn't live together, officially.
Yes, however, we had a 2-month period where we did live together in an attic in Lapland.
Yeah, we actually didn't get to do much living in that time.
No.
We were cohabiting because we were sleeping.
Yes.
But actually, we didn't really live together. We didn't have to live together.
Yes.
We didn't have to. We didn't have time to live. No. We woke up 20 minutes late to work, and we'd panic order a taxi.
Yep.
We would scram whatever food, and it would be like, how bad do I smell this morning? Yeah. You definitely need a double spray of deodorant because you don't have time to shower. That was the life we were living.
It was so fun. I'd love to do a whole podcast dedicated to that experience, to be honest. Maybe not a whole podcast, but a segment.
Maybe we'll do a Christmas special,
Yes, that's so fun because it was so defining of our relationship. It really was. And anyone who knows us knows about that journey and that story because it really was. It was the launch of Oz and Tallies.
Yeah, it was.
It was the launch of Oz and Tallies. So we do have an Instagram. We pretty much only document our travels on Oz and Tallies, but our highlights are full. We vlog all of our travels on Oz and Tallies.
We've been worse in recent years where
it's true.
Some of the highlights will end with us saying, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow.
And then it ends. That's the end of it. Anyways. But yeah, so we've been together for almost 6 years. And we've been wanting to start this podcast now for probably over a year, actually. Maybe 2 years.
I came up with we started off with the name. Yes. That was all I had. And we, as a couple, lots of people have said that we've got an excellent communication style. And I think we know as a couple, we have an excellent communication style. We've had our ups and downs with it, but we're like every other couple. But we've had a lot of people say how do you do it? They want to know more about how we communicate. And actually this is kind of a forum, and this is how we communicate. This is what we're doing right now. With this, the camera.
You as spectators.
Yeah, with the audience.
With the audience.
This is kind of how we communicate. We don't do this every day because this would be exhausting every day.
Yeah.
To communicate on such a level.
A couple times a week though.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it depends what's going on in our lives.
Yeah.
My total tangent, but my favorite times, not favorite, favorite is a very strong word.
It is.
One of the times I really enjoy in our relationships is when we actually don't have time for this on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And we are exhausted beyond repair, and we're just like, I'm exhausted. And then
It's my favorite too.
Like, I'll pick you up or you'll pick me up and it's late. It's literally like 1 or 2 in the morning, or we're coming back from friends or whatever. And we just pull outside of the house in the car. And then we just sit there for like 90 seconds before we just start talking. And then before we know it, we've been talking for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And then like, we're literally like, oh my God, we've got to get up for work in 4 hours, 5 hours, or like this is going to be I'm going to have such a headache tomorrow.
I just want to clarify, by the way, it's never because we're drunk as well, because we're not really big drinkers at all.
No,
it's literally just like
the
we
exhaustion
just
as well.
We hit like a delirium at some point, didn't we, and have a big debrief.
Yeah,
we do,
and we just catch up on everything, and it often involves crying. And just general emotional
I love
processing.
that you looked at me, because it's always me that cries. I cry at everything, guys.
Now and again.
I cry sometimes.
Now and again.
You're an emotional guy.
Depends what, how annoying you've been,
Yeah, so true. That's what I was going to say. Do you know what's so interesting? I have 2 things to talk about, but the first thing is that both of our relationships were about ourselves.
I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's actually going to be the general topic for this first podcast, for first episode, and it is actually talking about individuals in a relationship.
Yes, yeah, because that was a big thing for us when we first got together. So we got together in very unlikely circumstances. When we first met, we were both in other relationships with other people.
Gasp!
Shocker!
That is a shock.
It is a shock.
That's why I said gasp and horror, because those are true.
Yes.
Whereas shocker, well, that's life happens.
Life happens. No, so we were both in other relationships with other people, and both of the relationships were unhappy for whatever reason. But we met and we became really good friends, and we met doing a show, which is very us, because we are musical theatre to the end.
Extraordinaire.
I was going to say extraordinaire.
I knew you would. That's why I just wanted to bring
it. It took it from me. Do you know what I said today? Extraordinary airs. I don't know where it came from, but I kind of love it.
Extraordinary airs.
Perhaps.
It kind of.
It sounds like derriere.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's giving me bottom vibes.
Yeah,
so like it.
Yeah.
Well,
so you like it?
So.
So we were both in other relationships at the time. We became really good friends. We started working together. And slowly, as our friendship developed, we both realized that, the relationships that we were in were not right for us, for various reasons. And
during all of that time, we were in heavy denial that there was anything between us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That we were steadfast on the relationships we were in and making those work. And there just came a point where we both realized the connection between us was more than just platonic.
It was,
and
yeah.
that the fact that was there was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for the relationships we were in, and caused us to take that step to end our relationships. And then we said that, like, literally as soon as I broke up first, you broke up shortly after. And I said the statement, you need to stay single for a while. You need to work on yourself. And I'm pretty sure
he did that to get me out.
I'm pretty sure 3 days later we had our first kiss, or whatever. It was.
It was, and I honestly, even up until after I broke up with that partner, I really did feel like I was going to stay single. I genuinely, actually, even though
Which was so naive.
So naive. I think because neither of us were looking for it. And I think everyone always says that, stop looking and it will happen. But honestly, it's so true, because I think our previous relationships, we were looking. I was active. I mean, I met my previous partner on Tinder. That's something that not a lot of people know about in my life, but it's true. That's
a reveal right there.
It is a reveal. My mom's going to watch this and she's going to be absolutely shocked, but I don't care. It's the truth. I met my previous partner on Tinder, and that's very not me. For anyone who knows me before Oscar, and
even those who know you after,
and even those who know me now, I was very, very scared of the world, and I for good reason. I should have stayed scared, but no, I did. because I was looking for it. I had got out of a long-term relationship earlier that year. I had been stood up by a few too many people throughout those months. And then I had just gone out seeking that validation and that love elsewhere, which is why we were so important about being individuals in this relationship. And we were so adamant about it, because I think we had realized that all of our previous mistakes were just seeking love from other people to fill the void of the love that we didn't have for ourselves. And we both, like, I'm not going to say we both hated ourselves when we met each other, but we definitely weren't our most confident selves.
We didn't love ourselves.
No, and I thought Oscar was awful when I met him, to be honest with you. There was an instant connection, and they always say that hate is really, really close to love, and it's so true, because I genuinely, like, walking out of meeting Oscar for the first time, and we'll probably go into more detail about our origin stories at another point, but walking out from meeting Oscar the first time, if you'd have asked me, what do you think of that guy, I would have said, hate him, disgusting. Scumbag.
I would have said the same thing about me.
Yeah, well, you were not being genuine, for one, but for two, I just, something about him, there was an instant connection, and I just immediately associated it with hate. And I'm not a very hateful person. That was really out of character.
And very early on in our relationship, us, not even relationship, us knowing one another, you weren't very nice to me.
No, I wasn't.
And so there came a point at the early part of us interacting where I just called her out on it. It's like, why'd you bully me?
Yeah.
Why'd you bully me?
It's so true.
I will always remember if they say,
You called me out. You called me out. No one had ever called me out before.
You were flabbergasted.
I was. No one had ever called me out before. You don't expect that from someone, let alone like a friend of yours. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it instantly set that dynamic of us challenging each other, and us, like, it was like almost wanting the best for each other, wasn't it, really? It's like we're kind of pushing each other to see, like, you can be better than that. You're better than that. Like, why are you doing this? You know what I mean? That was sort of the underlying intent behind it. And I'm glad he did it. It ended up that we're here today, and now we live.
I'm also glad that happened.
Me too.
For what it's worth, just wanted to...
I thought you might be.
Just wanted to let you know.
I had a feeling you might be.
This is adequate.
This is
satisfactory.
I'm satiated.
For my needs.
Please enjoy every memory equally.
Yes, equally.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes, of course. That's a Severance reference. We've just finished watching Severance.
I'm about to say, please stop laughing. I need you to enjoy each reference equally.
Yeah, she didn't say stop laughing. She just says please enjoy every reference equally.
I was just pushing that point home.
You're pushing it home.
Yeah.
But, like, across the finish line, you pushed it.
Hit the line, I just pushed it right over.
You did that, bestie. Yeah. But yeah, one thing I actually wanted to talk about.
There's more than one thing you want to talk about. Apparently, you said that so many times already.
Oh, I know. I'd already spoken about the other thing. The other thing was about the self thing.
Okay.
We can talk more about that in a second. But the one thing I want to talk about that is very important to me, that I've never had in any other relationship in my life, like, not just like romantic relationships, friendships, anything like that. Language. Language is such an important part of our relationship. And what I mean by that is not like bilingual language.
I was about to say, if we're talking about languages, I'm a little bit disappointing in that area. I speak English.
You're not.
I do a very poor Australian. I do a poor American.
Very poor American.
Even poorer Scottish. Scotland, you know.
Scotland. Oh goodness me,
yeah.
That's atrocious. But no, not that. Language in terms of how we talk about ourselves, how we talk about each other. My favorite example of this is there's loads of relationships, and you know, for the record, we're not here to sit here and tell anyone that their relationship is not good or not right or whatever. That's like literally not what this is for. This is purely just talking about our own experiences and what works for us and what has worked for us.
And I know so many people have very, very different relationships to ours, and I don't think that their relationships would work if they had the same relationship we did.
100%.
Because of the nature of the relationship, the way that they work, the
dynamic.
Yeah. If everyone had the same relationship, then nobody would have a relationship. It'd be boring.
So true. And nobody would be this, like, you know, everyone would be the same as well, which sucks. But for us personally, we're both very self-reflective people, and we're very affected by the way that we think of ourselves and other people. And that's so dictated by the language we use. And we started very early on in the relationship. We decided that we don't like, you know, it's one thing, I used to pick on Oscar, yes, but I never called him names. I never was like personal attacks of like, of a nasty nature. You know, I never called him a twat.
Language.
Boss, you stupid idiot. The podcast is called Relationshits, isn't it? So we're going to be swearing anyway.
Deary me.
PG, I'm sorry.
Mind your mouth.
I know.
What does Captain America say? Language.
He does. But yeah, we never called each other. That's so true. We never called each other like derogatory insults from a very, very, very early start of the relationship. Obviously, when I was picking on you, there was probably certain things I said that were maybe more personal.
I remember very early on in our relationship, the word we used often was bully.
Yes.
It's like, don't bully me, don't bully me. And then there came a point where you said, I remember you saying this, I don't like that word.
Yeah.
Stop using that word. It's not funny.
Yeah.
And that was establishing the line within our relationship, the boundary. And to be fair, in the grand scheme of words that you could call one another, bully is actually quite gentle. And so
it's just a triggering word.
But it established a tone for our entire relationship. And it's a tone I wouldn't want to change.
No.
I wouldn't want to call you.
No.
I can't even think of a word that I can't even think of a joke for a word that I'd call you.
No, but the similar thing with stupid. I don't like the word stupid. I just think that's such an unnecessary insult to call someone, because after time you start to believe it. Like, you really do start to absorb the words that you you hear regularly, especially from the people that matter to you. Fat is another one. We don't ever call each other fat.
You're saying I matter to you?
You matter so much.
Oh.
I sang that whole song about it and everything.
That's so nice to hear. Wow. Aww.
What a shock.
What a shock stopping you.
What a shock. But there's so many different words, but my favourite one is, so like, because we don't use the word stupid, always silly has been a big one in our relationship. And it's just fun. It like doesn't mean anything, like, it's always just like something major could happen. Like Oscar could, like, I don't know, really hurt me or something like that. Be like, you silly Benny, you silly goose. Like, not hurt, but like, I don't know. I can't think of an example of when we would use it. But whenever you would expect to call someone stupid, you'd call them silly, just silly.
I could, like, if I'm literally about to serve dinner and then I just dropped the plate and it smashed everywhere and the food went everywhere, you wouldn't call me stupid. You'd say, well, that was silly.
That was silly. Well, that was
like,
silly.
You could be raging, and the tone actually says a lot as well. Like,
it does.
Oh, that was silly.
Yeah.
Or that was silly.
That was silly. Yes, you do that all the time.
It's if I'm like, I am lightly telling you off because I am peeved.
Yeah.
But I'm like, there is still a line.
Like,
the line still exists.
Begrudgingly.
That was silly.
You take it one step further though. If it's bad, stinky.
Yeah. I was really hoping that I get to say stinky first.
Sorry.
You're a stinker.
Yeah.
I can't believe you took that from me. You stinky girl.
I did. Stinky has been our biggest insult in our relationship.
That's exactly how I'd use it, because you took it from me.
I did.
You took that from me, stinky girl.
Right from you.
You did. It was right there.
And it comes in many forms. If you do something and you're so angry at someone, we want to say fuck you. You say you stink.
You stink so bad.
You stink so bad now.
Oh my. Like, I can't even be this close to you.
I can't breathe. You stink.
I could leave the house and I'd still smell you.
I would smell you from Mars because you stink.
Stinky.
Stinky stinker. If it's just a silly little stink.
I love that stinky stinker.
Yeah. If it's just a silly little stinker, oh, it's such a stinker. It's such a stinky baby.
Little tutor.
Little tootie McGooty. We have so many little words. Everyone always talks about when you're in like a comfortable relationship and the baby language comes out. We're the worst for it. We're the worst. Because I speak, like, I always, growing up, it was a family phrase. Tanya, why are you talking like a baby? Why are you talking like a baby? I just always used to do it. I just, like, I don't know, there's something comforting about it, I guess. I don't know. I just find it funny. Some words are funnier when you say it like a baby. I also work with children, so I'm surrounded by that all the time. That it just naturally, like, becomes something that I want to repeat, but stinker. Stinker, that's a big one.
Stinker.
Stinky binky.
Stinky stinker.
Stinker. And it's fun because the ferrets are all stinkers as well.
Oh, that's where they came. That's where the phrase came from.
Yeah.
I actually think it's because I actually used to say it seriously.
Yeah.
Like, you would come in from having been with the ferrets, and you'd come to give me a kiss. I give you a kiss. I'm like, oh, you stink.
Yeah, you stink.
I would actually tell you that you stink.
You stink.
Because you stunk like ferret.
Stink like ferret.
It wasn't that you actually, like, you weren't stinky. But you stunk.
I was stinky though.
With
You were like, did you rub them all over your face? And I was like, yeah. You're like, that's so stinky. Why do you do that?
I was like, it's like you're making yourself stinky by doing that. And that's 100% where that came from.
Yeah.
Language is such an interesting topic, like how words evolve.
Yeah, that's so true as well. Yeah, that's so true.
Like not that I'm super down with the kids, but like Riz, but it comes from charisma. Like it's so clever. So clever how language evolves, and I love that our use of it within our own like little bubble,
Yeah.
And I can absolutely imagine that stinker, if it was kept in this like micro environment of our house, and like if we had a little population and it was able to evolve, could become a swear word in 100 years time.
100%.
Like stinker would actually become.
It's going to be a swear word in our house. I'm actually going to teach my kids, like, you don't call people a stinker lightly. Like, stinker is like, that's what you call them if you're mad at them. You're a stinker.
I got taught when I was a kid to call people pollocks. And I think my dad taught it to me because it sounds like bollock. But pollock is a type of fish. And I remember being at school and I said, "Oh, you're such a pollock." And then they went and got a teacher.
Are you sure he didn't mean pillock?
As far as pollock.
Pollock is a type of fish, but a pillock is actually an insult.
Maybe it is.
Maybe he meant.
My dad's dyslexic. Very well could have been like made a but I actually call people pollock, and I remember it, like someone going to a teacher and being like, he called me a pollock, and I was like, yeah, I called him a fish. You want to tell me off for it?
Do you know what? That's so funny because that was me in Sweden when I used to say, so fan in Swedish is fug. And I used to go around the playground.
Language.
And I'd be like, fan. And they'd all be like, try swearing. And I was like, no, it means fan in English. I'm hot, okay? Like, and I was obviously saying it just for the attention of swearing, and that's 100% what you were doing. And you were like, what do you mean? I was calling him a bitch.
But I didn't do it often. But like that was me actually swearing at someone,
That's
calling them a pollock.
Words have such power if you give them power, but it's only the power that you give them.
It is. There was a study done on TV, so super high peer reviewed. I remember, like, I can't remember what year this came out or anything like it, but it was Stephen Fry, and he was with a comedian, and they had to put their hand in like ice cold water for as long as they could, and one of them had to one got to choose a swear word, and one of them got to choose had to use a word to describe like furniture. And then they swapped it over. Both of them, like the amount of time that they're able to keep their hand in the ice drastically improved when they were swearing.
Really?
But it was like by 45%. So instead of having their hand in the water for 27 seconds, they made it to almost a minute.
Wow.
Maybe my stats are entirely off there, but like
100% off.
But it was actually really cool to watch. And the reason I remember Stephen Fry's word for like a chair was structural. I was like, what a choice of word. And the comedian was wooden. I just remember finding it funny how different, like you take a man who is very, very highly educated, and then a guy who I don't even know his background, but like clearly not the same as Stephen Fry.
Not at all.
And he was just like wooden.
Wooden.
And Stephen Fry, I remember being like, oh, good one.
Oh. Good one.
Just gave me a good giggle.
Powerful.
Nice choice.
That is so true.
Mm-hmm.
That is so true, though. That has been interesting.
Yeah.
Swearing's fun. I love it.
But this is what we said. Like language is powerful, and the way that you use it with yourself and other people is so important.
It is.
Within our journey, it's been a really important. We've had different challenges with words actually. One of the words that you use more commonly than me was stupid.
Yeah, that was a big one.
And one for me was fat. That was called myself fatty.
Yeah. I know.
And that was a challenge that we both had to learn to call one another out on, because it wasn't a word that meant a lot for us individuals. And so when you get to be receptive to the other person, and that was something that we had to.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing is knowing what the other person struggles with and calling them out on what's going to improve their life. So it's like, I think that's the selflessness of relationships, is like, as you say, like, fat didn't really mean that much to me, like, personally as an insult, because I'd always been really underweight growing up, and like it's a word that I grew up around, but it's not a word that was ever used against me, like in a derogatory way. And so I never feared that I was fat, for example.
Even in that moment when you said I didn't grow up, you know, being called that word, I wanted to say lucky.
Yeah, right.
But because I've just got this thing inside of me,
which is so
but
valid.
It's because it was such a powerful word against me growing up.
Yes, yeah, but that was me for stupid. Like, because I was always smart and I was always intelligent, and I hated being called stupid, and people would call me it all the time, whether it was as a joke. I don't think there's ever a joke of like a offensive word, but as a joke or whatever. But I'd always be called stupid, and I had such complex about it because I was so frustrated, because I was like, no, I'm smart, I'm clever, like I really would push myself to be intelligent, and so that word had a lot of power for me.
And that's the idea of pushing yourself to be intelligent. Like that's I fully do, like driving to be more intelligent.
You have to.
But it's just a funny way of wording it.
Yeah. But that's why, and being called stupid didn't really matter that much to you. Necessarily, not in the same way, I suppose, but it's just that case of knowing that that's a thing for the other person. So whenever I would hear Oscar talking about himself negatively and being like, oh, I just feel really fat, or I look really fat, or whatever, I'd have to call him out and be like, no, you're not fat. Like,
and it was the same for when you called yourself stupid.
Exactly.
Like, not stupid, it was silly.
Yeah, exactly. And you correct the words and you redirect them. It's exactly what we do with children. I mean, being in a relationship is just having a toddler. In a way, like you've got to kind of build that relationship in a similar way and find the different things in
but that's where like we actually have a very like balanced relationship, that you look after me and I look after you but in very, very similar ways. But we do have also different love languages. We're not going to drive too much into love languages today.
No, but I'd like to do a quiz on it on one of the podcasts one day.
Yeah.
And actually take the quiz together, because I don't know if it's something that we've ever actually done together.
I don't know if
we did during COVID.
Yeah, I was going to say it might be more interesting for us to finish the exam and then maybe do the results on the that will probably be more interesting than so question 143.
Well, that's so true. Yes.
Oh, I don't know which one. I don't want to reveal how I'm answering, so I'm just gonna.
I'm already bored just listening to you do the bit.
Thanks.
No, fact.
That's what I was going for.
I know, it worked. It was really good.
Good.
It was really good.
Point proven.
Point proven. Your face makes me laugh so much sometimes.
If you guys are listening to this on
a listening platform,
just remember that I have a funny face, and it might be worth checking out the video.
That is so true. We're going to be across platform.
Hopefully.
How exciting. I have something to ask you, actually.
Yes.
About watching this podcast.
Ask away.
So we obviously met doing musical theatre.
We did indeed.
You're a very confident man. You always have been. More than most people. I always get called confident as well. I don't feel confident, but I am.
See, since I've been with you, I get called confident a lot less. But I think it's just by comparison. I'm more quiet than you are.
Yes.
I am a very confident person, though.
You're very observant, though.
Yeah.
You are more like you're the kind of person.
I'm always watching.
Yes. You're the kind of person when we get to a party, you'll sit and you'll watch everyone before you interact.
It depends on the party. If the vibe is dead, I'll jump right in.
Yes.
But I do really enjoy just being able to gauge the land.
Yeah.
I want to know who's the alpha.
Yes.
Who's whose relationship is on the rocks.
Yes.
I'm like that. I was going to say like a grandma who like sitting in the cafe just to like.
You said I thought you were going to say gremlin.
No, I'm like a grandma who like sitting in the cafe just to like get the tea, get the gossip. Yes. I'm like, oh, just like
no newspaper, no nothing.
No. I've got a newspaper, but I'm reading the body language.
Yes, you're reading beyond it. Your goodness, you're making it sound so evil.
Yes. What we gonna?
I honestly don't remember, to be honest with you.
You're saying I'm a confident guy.
Oh yeah, you're a confident guy.
Thanks.
Sorry, I'm going to get distracted a lot, guys. It's just my brain. You're a confident guy, and you've always, it's so interesting, actually, that you say you get called confident less around me, because I feel like we've swapped roles in that sense. Because I feel like when I met you, I relied on you so much. I was very insecure, very, kind of like me right now, but I was very insecure in such a different way. I was very insecure, very reliant upon you, very honestly bordered codependent. I had a lot of separation anxiety when we first got together.
At the very beginning, I'd agree.
At the very beginning, I was very anxious as a person. I actually don't think I've ever been that anxious in my whole life. Like, that was a really bad place for me. I just think it makes sense in terms of my life and where I was, though. That transition between college and the rest of the world is actually like...
COVID was a fantastic time not from the codependent, because it got worse through for the codependency, but in terms of helping establish yourself as an individual.
Yeah, I just think there's so much pressure on kids coming out of, and I say kids because when you're 18 years old, you're a child. Like, no offense, but there's so much pressure on kids coming out of college. And if university either isn't your thing or doesn't work out in whatever way that is, you just are meant to believe that your life has finished. Like, that's it.
Yeah, I've 100%. Should we get back to the point you asked?
Yeah, get back to the point. But anyways, I find it interesting that our dynamics have switched over the years. And I think a lot of that comes from us being so conscious to give the other, to support the other person to be who their best self is. And it feels to me like maybe your best self is that slightly more like reserved and observant, because you're a lot more intentional now. I feel like you did a lot of things when we first got together just cause you spent a lot of money just because you could. No, I'm talking pre-us as well. It's the truth. You're so dramatic. But you did.
I don't know why I went for the heart. That wasn't like a deep jab. That was more like shoulder, flesh wound.
That was a gentle jab. You're being so drama.
Well, no, it was still a stab.
It was a stab, just not so close to your heart.
No,
scratch your arm next time or something, please.
That's why I said like flesh wound in the shoulder. I'm like, it hurts, and they're like, yeah, okay, but you'll be fine. Shut up.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry, carry on.
You're so tangenty. I feel like you're getting further away from the microphone. By the way, you're literally squeezing away from it.
Not intentional.
Not intentional. Are you sure? Yeah. Subconsciously, you're like,
yeah.
I mean, I have as well, but that's because my left arm's hurting now. Shock horror. Anyways, oh my god, I really can't get to my point, can I?
That we swapped roles.
I don't know how to phrase it, but we've swapped roles over years, and I feel like it suits you, like who you are right now. You might disagree.
No, I would say that I've become far more intentional, but one of the things that I've definitely become aware of in more recent years is that my brain works more now.
Yeah.
I'm not even trying to say that I'm more intelligent, but my brain is able to actually take in information in a whole different way now. And I think it is largely in part due to my change in observant. I was going to say observant over compulsive, impulsive, not compulsive.
Yes.
But it's not. It's impulsive versus like respondent. Maybe
yes.
I wait to respond.
Yes.
Rather than making the first move.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you. And
that's probably why you didn't like me very much when we first met, was like I was very impulsive.
Yes.
Like, if I thought something was funny, I'd say it.
Yeah, but not in a great way. Like there's being impulsive. No. Again, there's no secret. I'm not even going to say no offense, because I don't mean offense by it. But in a way of like, it's not like, oh, I'm impulsive. Like, hey, we should do something fun tonight. Like, let's do it. You were impulsive, like, yeah, you would just say stupid stuff. Sorry, silly stuff. You would just say silly
that's another
things.
Stab. Oh my goodness.
You would say...
No, this one I went higher. I went for the flesh wound this time. I was
like, again? Ouch.
Yeah. It didn't even finish healing yet.
I mean, it only just happened, so I'm not surprised. But you would just say silly things, or you just do silly, like, to try and be funny, and like, it just came across so cocky and so like, it just came across in the wrong way. And I think it's because you weren't thinking about, not just like you weren't thinking about how it was going to come across, because I also believe like you shouldn't really care what other people think, but it was more than that. You weren't even considering the other people in the room and how it was going to impact them more than anything else. It's like
I was going for the bit, and that's all I cared about.
And that's it. Whereas like, I've never been that spontaneous. I've always been like, before the period of time where I met you, when I was actually like my younger self, and I was like me, like uninhibited, you know what I mean? I was similar to that. Like I was quite like, I would just like say and do things, but I never said, like I never didn't think before I spoke, if that makes sense. People always thought that I wasn't thinking before I spoke, because
you speak so fast, and there is no way she's thinking right now.
Well, there's that, but also because some of the things I did say were outlandish and were,
you actually sped up after I said fast.
Have I been speaking fast?
Outlandish. That was all I heard.
Really? Have I been speaking fast. This is. I feel like I'm speaking quite slow.
Definitely not speaking slow.
Wow.
Wow.
If you hear how fast I speak, just think how fast my brain is moving.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Some of the things I would say obviously would be a bit outlandish and silly, but I'd always thought about it before I said it. Like everything I said was like intentional, and I think people thought I was a lot more like not extroverted is the wrong word, but people thought I was a lot more this outside personality than I was actually internally like being a person, if that makes sense. I don't think it does make sense, but
I understand it.
Whereas I think that's what you were.
Yeah.
And I think now you've brought me to a more balanced version of that, in that I am a little bit more uninhibited now, and I do let myself just like kind of exist sometimes when I'm in comfortable situations.
I've also held on to that impulsive nature in a more refined way.
100%.
Like I'm still very, but like the degree I did was very impulsive.
Yeah.
Elfing was. I said the word was very impulsive. We didn't reveal that earlier.
That's true.
But that was very impulsive, and like I still do things impulsively.
You do.
But it is far more intentional.
Yes.
And I go to start doing something impulsively, and I will review in my brain. I'm like, am I being silly? Yeah. I was going to say stupid, and I was like, that's don't want to trigger language. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to be silly, and I want to make sure that I'm doing what is right for everyone involved.
Everything. Yeah. And it is nice. We do think a lot about other people. Really, truly, we're very thinking about other people. But the point I was gonna make from the very beginning of this, we've kind of gone.
Oh, there's a point.
There is a point.
Wow,
shocker!
I'm excited to get to that.
Actually, shocker's my like tagline.
Shocker.
For this episode. Shocker. The point I was trying to make is I find it very interesting how it's taking you this long to appear on social media in a way like this. Because when I've been vlogging my whole life, like I've been filming things since I was but a wee lass. And I'm very comfortable with it now because of how long I've been doing it.
Sorry, I heard like in my head, butter, wee lass. And it was like
urine, butter, girl. Or do you mean wee as in small?
Small.
I thought you had like
no.
you spelled it out.
As in like you just find a small girl and you just cover her in butter. I was just like, what a weird thing to do.
So bizarre.
Butter wee lass.
Oh my god.
Get real. But I haven't been present on social media.
Yeah, I just like when we first started vlogging on Oz and Tallies, it was very unnatural to you, and I think still is, to be honest. Occasionally, like you'll pick up the camera and you will be a lot more natural now than you were, but it definitely still feels like not quite in your wheelhouse. And I just find it so interesting. I've been trying to get Oscar on my TikToks, on YouTube, like everything for years, and he will always oblige every now and then, like you really will, but
I do it for you, but it's not something.
It's not
something I could do for myself.
No, and it's not like enjoyment that you find for yourself, which is so interesting to me because you're so like Oscar is more extroverted than me. Everyone thinks I'm an extrovert. I genuinely, I don't know if I entirely believe that anyone's entirely introverted or extroverted, to be quite honest with you. But on the end of the scale, I prefer to just be in my little bubble with me and Oscar and no one else. Like I'm not. Like, I will socialize and I love people, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean any less of my friends and things like that, but I gain my energy from just being in our little bubble. And, saying it drains me is maybe quite a strong negative word to be around other people, but in a way it does. Like, I always come away needing time to not do that anymore, And it's more than just a social battery thing. It's even after like 15, 20 minutes of interaction. Like everything takes a little bit from me, But I just find it so interesting because you're so extroverted and you love being around people and you love meeting new people and networking and just seeing your brain firing whenever you come from like a convention or anything like that.
I love new things. I love meeting new people.
Love it. You love the brain challenges, and I just find it so interesting how social media doesn't provide that for you.
It does not in the slightest. No. I think there's this whole idea about like instant gratification that comes from social media, and I don't think it gives it to me in the same way that I get it from social, I was going to say social interaction, but like the literal human interaction. For a long time, I was very social media oriented when I was in my early teens, and it felt like a hollow replacement. And I think when I got to the point where I had rebuilt having friends and a real social circle and that human element, COVID is the reason that my confidence in social media went down.
Yes.
Because I became so isolated within you and us.
Yeah. And you've never had that experience?
No, I hadn't. Not to the extent, because we moved to a whole new country like 3 weeks before the pandemic, and that was a real challenge in our relationship, and we'll get into that in a lot more detail at a later date. But that took a big hit to my confidence, because I just found my groove when it came to human interaction and and life in general. And I remember going to interviews when we first came to Glasgow, and I remember walking into the room, taking 15-20 seconds to read it and be like, cool, I'm in control. And I knew what I was going to do. Not in a I don't know, I wasn't necessarily being tactful. Tactful?
Tactful.
No, tactical. I wasn't necessarily being tactful, but I was ensuring that I was being tactful.
Yeah.
And I was making sure that everyone in the room was comfortable with what was going on. And that was because very early on in our relationship, that was a skill that I picked up very, very quickly. But I still had that confidence to be that impulsive and jump in feet first and be like, I've judged that the pool is 10 meters deep. I can jump in, I'll be safe, and go from there. And I think, what happened over the pandemic took a real hit to my confidence. And even now, I don't know if I've still fully got my mojo back in terms of feeling confident enough to fully express myself on social media.
Yeah.
I think that mediums like this, where I get to, I don't know, just get to talk, it feels far more comfortable. Whereas TikTok, I feel like I've become much more of a long form person than I have become a short.
It's very fast paced. It is, and it's very fickle.
Yeah, and I just don't think, as I say, I don't use TikTok. And I do use it for Instagram Reels and Facebook because I'm an old man, but I don't watch the 10-second or even minute-long videos.
No.
I like finding the videos which are 8-9 minutes, which is really funny because I don't like YouTube.
No.
So I don't know what I'm doing with social media.
So weird, isn't it? And he loves finding the 9-minute videos and playing them at full volume.
Damn right I do.
Right in the middle of
because I'm an old man.
You are.
I'm an old man.
Literally an old man.
Actually, I much prefer having my earphone in. But then when you start shouting for me, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
And then you'll walk into the bedroom and you'll scream because you think I'm a ghost standing in the corner.
So scary. You're wearing a white top and everything. I literally was in the studio here talking full volume, singing on stream, and also was in the stream, and then finished the stream, called out to Oscar and was like, "Oh, Bobs, I'm finished." No response, nothing. And I thought, oh, he must be downstairs. I literally walk into the bedroom to go and put my phone on charge, and I just looked to my left, and he stood there, didn't say anything as I walked in, just stood there silently, frozen. Because I had my headphones on. Frozen. I screamed. I've never been so scared in my life.
So the reason
I don't jump easily.
It's because I froze because you walked in the room and I was waiting for you to say hi or just notice me. Whereas I felt like you looked at me and then looked past me, and I was like, I'm right here, and then but that was
process.
But that's why you screamed, because you saw me but you didn't process me, and you were like, what in the hell is going on? And I'm like, hi.
It just needed a double take.
I'm just here. I'm just getting changed. I just had my earphones in.
You just stood there and watched me.
I don't even have my things that high, so I don't know how I. But again, I've had so much going on in my brain that my brain was just louder than your stream and your singing and your screams.
I know.
What screams?
You had to scream.
I did.
I know. It is hard, isn't it, when you've got things going on? I think that I'm still thinking it's so interesting that our biggest things this week is ourselves. I think it's just there's something so beautiful in that, and I think that's the biggest thing that if I was to give any relationship advice, it would be a relationship is a partnership of two individual people.
So I've got 2 more topics I think we should cover before we conclude our very first Relationships podcast.
Let's do it.
So the first one is based off of what you just said. What did you just say?
How please hold. How a relationship is made up of a partnership of 2 individuals.
Yes. So I really want to get back to the core of what we spoke about earlier, and about us being as individuals.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's really tough. Actually, it's a really, really difficult thing to balance personal progression, relationship progression, and support for the other person, because there's more to it than just having me time, us time. There's also supporting you in your you time and what you're exploring, and trying to balance those 3 things is it's a minefield, frankly. And it's as a rule, I think one of the things always suffers a little bit. Yes. And realistically, I can support you to be the best version of you, and I can be doing everything that I want to be doing, and those things are great. But then our relationship typically will suffer a little bit because we're both like accelerating how we're moving. And the idea about supporting the relationship is that we're like
pulling it together.
Yeah, and we're moving in the same direction. Whereas there are times where, you know, I'm supporting myself and you're supporting yourself, but also the idea of supporting the other person to go at the maximum speed. I don't know if this analogy is working very well.
The analogy's not, but let me put it into real world practice. It's like, for example, me progressing on social media, let's say, me investing into that career. There was occasionally times where I need Oscar's help, whether that be to move a mattress or to set something up, or I want a new logo, or I want a little animation. For anyone who doesn't know, Oscar's an animator, so obviously anything technological, I need Oscar's help. If I want to start streaming on Twitch, I need Oscar to teach me how to use OBS. I need him to set it all up for me. Like, there's so many things that in order for me to excel at what I'm trying to progress at, I need some support from that. And vice versa for yourself. Like, if there's something that you're needing to progress out or whatever, you need me to take you to a convention or something. You need me to fly to Germany and go to a games convention, because that's going to give you.
So I didn't need you to do that. It was our 4-year anniversary, and like I needed to have a good excuse to
to go there,
to have that thing happen, but also celebrate our 4-year anniversary. And I was like, oh, I've got a nice holiday opportunity. Also, I need to go to this event, but we're going to Germany for our 4-year anniversary. Oh, so by the way, I'm bringing my friend. Oh,
that is true. That's a fun fact. That did happen. It was still one of my favorite holidays.
It was a fantastic holiday.
Brilliant. You're very lucky that your friend is a wonderful man.
He is a wonderful man,
and we love him very much.
We do.
But yeah, there's so many different times in life where that is the case, and you're so right. It's never like full undivided support, but it's always just a little bit of something to just help progress it further. But it's difficult to have the capacity to do that when your focus is elsewhere.
Yeah. And at the very start of our relationship, one of the things I'd say that I did, I'm not going to say majorly, but like at the very start of lockdown, was you needed more support than I could give without not focusing on myself. Mm-hmm. And so there was probably a 3 or 4 month period of time where you were my entire focus. Yeah. And it's actually why I don't remember that time at all, because my brain wasn't switched on for what was happening with me. Yeah. It was just you, and you blossomed in that time. You really did. And I think that was.
I do have to say though, I think part of you needed that, because I think COVID was such a time of like, what is your purpose? What is anyone's purpose?
Yeah, that's it.
And I think you didn't want to face the fact that you were lost. And so you were like, no, well, I have to do this, or else Talia's going to die. I mean, it felt that way sometimes, didn't it?
I definitely. I definitely feel like I used you as an excuse to not have to confront myself.
Yes. I'm not 100%. Like overwriting your feelings. It's so valid that also was your reality, that you didn't have the opportunity to focus on yourself, and you were just focusing on me, and that's. I'm not disregarding that, but I do think an element of that does come from at the end of the day, you're in control. You chose to do that.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
And so
and as I said,
part of you chose to do it for a reason.
I think I chose to do it at that time. We've said this before, that we didn't love ourselves,
mm-hmm.
and I cared for you a great deal. I remember at the start of our relationship, we always used to say, I really care about you.
Yeah.
And I could see you not caring for yourself. And so I just wanted to make sure that I knew you were cared for. And at that time, and us we were building a relationship from scratch.
Yeah.
And because I was dedicating so much of myself to you, at that point, I didn't love myself enough to make sure I was looked after. And so there was a period of time where I didn't get looked after, basically. And then there came a point where I actually went and said, I now need support. I will continue to look after you, but there are things I'm going to need you to do to make sure that either I look after myself or that you look after me, because this isn't going to be sustainable otherwise. And I definitely feel like we found, I mean, we're still here, so I feel like we found our way.
We did. We found a good rhythm in that. I think there's a lot of push and pull.
Yeah.
I think we're
very flexible depending on what's going on in our lifestyle, because we've gone through. I'm sure every couple who went through the pandemic together, living together, will say you overcome a lot of you had to overcome a lot of challenges, because all we had was, we spent the first 4 or 5 months without internet.
Yeah.
That's
we literally just
crazy.
We just had each other.
We were back in the Stone Age. We started people watching. Hey, yes.
We actually did.
Yeah. And I remember talking
that
about.
window was so good for.
I remember that we kept the window open and we were talking about somebody out the window, and he just turned around and put his middle finger up, and we were like,
"He did."
Oh,
that was scary.
It was hilarious. I loved it. Cool. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, and our kind of like finishing point, is actually a quote from a musician. And
Facebook?
No.
Oh.
And it's from Ben Platt.
Oh,
and
we love him.
And it's about growing as we go.
Yes, he was the anthem of our COVID.
He was the anthem of
exact song.
Yeah, it was.
He's the anthem.
Because I think that there's a lot of truth in it. The idea of, like, we started our relationship saying that you had to be single, specifically you.
Yes.
I also think I would have benefited from having been single.
I agree.
I think at the time I was just in denial of that fact, and I was like, you need to be yourself.
I just want to say something on those points. I think you being in denial is going to be something that comes up a lot in these podcasts, and you're going to start to realize it more. Because I just want to say, I know that you feel like less confident now, but what I will say is I feel like, and I've said this to you before, but I feel like you've gone through the transformation necessary, and you had to go through a different process to me, because at the end of the day, I had hit my rock bottom long before I met you. Like, I had my rock bottom, and I have no doubt that I will face another rock bottom again, because so is life, but I had already faced a major crisis, and I'm not saying you hadn't, because you also had a really rough time. However, at the point in time when you met me, like, you were on the up and up. You were definitely at a peak in life, in a capacity. However you, like, justify that. And I feel like you went through, as awful as it is, all I could do was just watch and just, like, support as much as I could in the moment. But part of what you needed was to be, like, broken down and rebuilt.
I had to fall off the mountain.
You did, and I think that's so important. And I think a lot of what we're going to keep coming up against is you being in denial of that, because that is a hard thing to face. It's a hard thing to admit that you have to hit rock bottom in order to bounce back, because you think, well, why? Like, am I not strong enough? Am I? You do think about all these things, but it's nothing to do with that. It's entirely just the necessary.
There are so many things that I learned from, like, after having hit that point.
Yeah.
I didn't have a work ethic.
Yep.
Before.
So driven.
And
that's one of your main features. Is how driven you are.
And I didn't have that before the pandemic. So
that's why I love it so much, because it literally blew out of nowhere. Like, you did that. Like, your drive, your motivation, your ability to just crack on and do the crap stuff in order to get
language
is entirely self-made. Like, you created that for yourself.
One thing that's going to be another recurring theme on this podcast is you praising me in some format and me trying to make a joke out of it.
That is true.
That's definitely going to happen.
In denial again.
I'm not in denial. I know what you're saying. It's true. I don't necessarily love getting praise. Like,
I know you don't. It's not hard to say.
It's an easy it's not an easy thing
No.
to hear.
Right.
But I know what you're saying is true.
Yeah.
And
I'm just amazed by you. I just always have been. But that idea of grow as we go, that comes into it, because it's like, in order for you to grow how you needed to grow, I had to sometimes let you have a shit time. And I had to sometimes like a big thing is the show experience. Like, your experience in musical theatre up here has been so different to mine, and has also been so different to your previous experiences. And my experience has been so different to my previous. We've flipped, we've switched everything, and that's so hard. But there's nothing I could do about that other than let you go through it, because that's a really important thing. We don't just keep this in the podcast if we don't want to.
No. I'll have to keep this in. But I was going to say, but this is going to be a much larger topic for a whole lot of
100%. But just touching on that in terms of the growing as we go, like that's a big thing in relationships, is the growing. And I think that's where a lot of relationships fall apart, is when they start to get to a period of growth. They freak out because things are suddenly different to what they've been before. And people like comfort, people like, stability, people seek that in relationships, and they seek mundane, they seek settled, But the reality is, in order for a relationship to withstand the test of time, you have to embrace those unsettling times, because that is growth, that is progression.
But I will also say that one thing that I think some couples are guilty of, and I'm sure we've done it at times ourselves as well, is trying to stunt growth to stay in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And because where you stick, I found something comfortable, and I just want to stay where we are, because we don't fight, and we have easy conversation, and everything's easy.
You don't want to push the boat.
You don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to push the boat forward either.
They don't want to push it forward.
They don't want to go anywhere. They're like, okay, we found our nice point in the lake, we're going to stay right here. It's a good analogy. I like that. But that's
not a hell of a lot of fish around, but we're doing good.
but that's another great analogy that can be added on. If you stay in one place, you're going to eat up all the fish in your area, and things are going to get harder, because people want to get better, people want to improve, people want to grow as we go. And if you force yourself to stay in one place, then you're never going to really blossom. You're never going to progress. You're never going to grow. And humans and life in general is all about growth.
It is, and it's just about embracing that. It's just about like understanding when that comes at a time, and being like, right, we're faced with something. But I think it's very interesting you saying about something and not wanting to progress a relationship. Sometimes you have to make a choice, and sometimes you have to be like, right, either I take this job and we move to Canada, and I progress in every way that I want to, but then that means that Oscar is isolated. He's going to know nobody. He's going to have no prospects of a job. He's going to have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you have to make decisions and sacrifices based on the relationship.
I literally met a couple who went through that exact scenario at an animation conference. Guy got a job offered at ILM, and he moved from Glasgow to Vancouver overnight. And she had a thriving indie business here in Glasgow, and basically had to leave everything behind in order to allow him to pursue his dreams. The incredible story, and it's wild, the process that you have to go through in those kind of scenarios. But in that scenario, it's a question of,
will that lead to resentment?
Well, will it lead to resentment? But also, is our relationship, is the bond that we have together enough?
Yeah.
Is it stronger than all the outside forces that are going to impact it? And are you established enough as individuals, and the one who's, the one who is moving has something there, so the other person's going to need that additional support in order to be able to be brought to the same point. And do you have all the infrastructure within your relationship to make that viable? Because that's a big ask. It's a big ask.
It is. It is, and I think it's just something that every time something like that comes up, you just have to navigate. It's going to be different every time.
You need to talk about it, because sometimes the answer will be like, we're not in a position to do that. And it effectively, do you value the opportunity more than you value the relationship? No, those are...
Which is a hard thing.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people I think people sit on either side of the fence. And I think this is a big thing for me about everyone thinks everything's black and white. Nothing is black.
No,
Not one single thing
and
in life.
it genuinely in that circumstance of the relationship can't handle it, but it could be the best thing possible for that one person. And it's awful to say, but I don't think if that scenario happened with us and it was something that you wanted to do, I don't think I'd hold any animosity towards you, because it's I'd almost be proud of you for being the most authentic version of yourself, regardless of everything else. And don't get me wrong, I'd be heartbroken, I'd be really upset. Please don't do that. But it's something that there's something really beautiful in being able to choose yourself in that scenario. But then there's also something beautiful in being like, this relationship means more to me than a job. So like it's great. It's 100% great.
It's so great. And you know what? That opportunity at one point in our relationship might have a very different outcome at a different point in our relationship for that very reason, because it's just a fluid thing. Growth is so fluid. I think we're very lucky in that at the moment we're both in a period of career growth. And so we are both very understanding of the fact that we are growing at our careers right now, and there's going to be opportunities that are going to pop up that are going to change things for both of us. And we're willing to go for that because we know that. But we're also very lucky in that our careers align in a sense, or our interests align in a sense of, you have a very clear vision, you have a very clear path of what you want to do. And I am very, very easy in a sense of like, I just want to work remotely. I don't care what I do or where I do it. I just want to work remotely. I love the jobs that I do. But
we're very flexible as individuals. And that's reflected in our long-term goals.
Yes.
And that's
why it aligns so well. Because we are so flexible in that sense. And I think that's a really important thing. I think you can't grow with somebody who A, doesn't want to grow with you, B, doesn't want to be grown with. There's a lot of people that they want that period of exploring. They want that period of like, no, I want to see different people.
I want to have a hot girl summer.
Yeah, I want to experience different things. I want to be single. I want to be with myself in that way. And I think that's really powerful as well. And I think that's a brilliant thing. And I do, like, a little part of me is like, I really wonder who I am single, because I just don't think I've ever been that. But at the same time, like, at the same time, I began to realize that single doesn't actually mean anything to me, because the only reason I would need to be single is if I was looking to interest other people, or if I was looking to be interested in other people. But that's not what crosses my mind. Like, when I think about, I wonder who I am single, I think about who I am as an independent person. But I'm like, but I am an independent person. And I am an individual, and I do things that I want to do, and
all the times you're not in a controlling relationship. Effectively, you are being you with someone else.
Exactly. And I just feel like I'm me with you. And I'm also us, but I'm me with you. And I think that's why I've never really reached that phase of like, I just want to be single for a bit or whatever, because why would I ever think about that? Because like, other people don't ever come into it. Do you know what I mean? Like, even just the phrase of saying I want to be single kind of insinuates I want other people to be involved, because there's no other reason why I'd break up with you, because I'm such an individual with you, and vice versa.
We're single together.
We're living our single life together. I do get that a lot. Like, in a lot of my live streams, a lot of people that follow me in general are men, and that's fine, and that's great, and I love that. And a good 90% of the men that do follow me and interact with me online are very respectful, and they all know of Oscar.
That's a big word that we use that I think also reflects our relationship is the word partner.
Yes.
It's something that crops up quite often. People, assuming that we're part of the LGBTQ community, and because of the use of the word partner, and it's used actually quite heavily in the community. But we
are allies, of course.
Yes, but we have a partnership together.
Yes,
and that's effectively that's where that word comes from. Girlfriend, boyfriend sounds so almost
infantile.
I was gonna say trivial. Like, it's
your favorite word, didn't it? I'm into these.
You did. But I think me referring to you as my partner, I don't know if I'll ever change that.
I don't think I will.
Even as our progression, like our relationship will progress in the future, I just think it's effectively it's a mantle now. Like,
it's quite instilled, isn't it? I don't think I'd ever call you my husband unless someone asked.
Mhm.
If we ever got married, I wouldn't be like, oh, I'd be like, oh, this is my partner, Oscar. Maybe it's, I don't know. It's actually hard to say.
It's difficult to know how the relationship will grow.
Yeah, was it the I'd ever call you my fiance? I know.
No, I also
feels pretentious to me as well.
But I also think you will.
I probably will, mate. I'm just a girl. What can I say?
Oh, I'm definitely not going to do that. But
I'm definitely not going to do that. Hey guys, that's about your song.
You're hilarious.
I'm so funny. Thanks for knowing that about me.
You're the funniest.
To be loved is to be seen. That's one of my other favorite words. Favorite phrases. I do love that.
It's important to feel seen.
I think we should grow as we go. I think that should be the name of this episode. Grow as we go.
We'll workshop it.
She's not convinced.
It's been a real pleasure to sit here and talk with you.
It's been a real pleasure.
I've really enjoyed. I feel like there's been very little focus on the relationship and talking about us as individuals and the overall relationship.
Yes.
But that's...
So I think we should end off with our relationship of the week and what things we loved about this week in our relationship. Mine comes to mind really, really quickly.
Go for it.
Last night, it's one of my favourite moments in our whole relationship for a couple of reasons.
In our whole relationship?
One of them is up there.
Wow. I didn't know it.
You have no idea how much it meant to me. But it's so interesting to me to hear that you only did that because you felt like you were compensating for something. In
the moment, I don't know. I don't know how I worded it earlier, but like I do.
You didn't say the word compensating. That's what you were.
Yeah, I made sure that I was being as attentive as I was because I knew that I hadn't been.
But I just didn't see it that way at all. But anyways, last night I was having a real moment, a real meltdown, and for various reasons, I have a condition, blah blah blah, I have chronic pain. I'm so bored of hearing about it. I'm so bored of talking about it. I'm so bored of having it. But it is what it is. And I was just in a really bad place, and I was just feeling very irritable and crabby. And I've been apologizing so much for stuff for being irritable. I'm on a health journey at the moment, and it's hard. It's really hard. It's hard enough to be on a health journey for anyone, I would imagine. Going to the gym sucks.
Can confirm.
But as somebody who is already in a lot of pain, willingly putting myself in more pain sucks so much. But anyways, I was just in a bad place. I was feeling ratchet. I was feeling irritable, and Oscar actually just turned around, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, I'm really proud of you for doing what you're doing right now. And I know that you're in a tough place. And I know that it's going to be rough for a little while. And you need my support. So I'm going to give you extra support to help you get through this time. Because I don't want you... you basically were kind of inferring that you didn't want me to give up. And that you were proud of what I was doing. And even though I was being somewhat unbearable... You were deliberately going out of your way to make sure that I felt loved and I was supported. And you went out and you not only did put the babies away, which is just like a running thing in our relationship.
Babies being the first, for anyone who doesn't.
Yeah, we don't have children. But it's a running thing in our relationship for whenever I'm feeling rough. It's always like, can you do the baby? Because it's just it's not even that hard of a job, but it's just when I'm in pain or I'm exhausted or whatever, it's just a big thing for me to just do. But not only did he go and put them away, he also cleaned them, which is something that, again, some people are going to be like, oh wow, you cleaned your hair. It's blah, but that is something that we have agreed that's my thing, and I want to do it, and it's my responsibility, and I I take pride in doing it, and I really enjoy doing it. It's my little thing that I like to do, but that's when you know that he's fully supporting me. The other times he cleans, he does them. If I ask him to do it, he'll do it. But he cleans them when I'm sick, when I'm ill and I can't get off the sofa or whatever. It's in those kind of times, and it just meant so much to me that he just not only read my mind and just knew that I needed support in that moment before I even knew that. I couldn't even identify it and ask for it because I didn't even know it until the second he said it and it came out of his mouth. I literally was like, this man knows me better than I know myself. And it meant so much to me. And then coming up to bed, and I just had this shift in my brain, and I was like, how could I possibly hate myself so much when this man shows me so much love? There must be a reason that he loves me, and I must love myself to an extent as well. And so I decided that we had to identify 5 things that we liked about ourselves before we went to bed. And I just loved hearing the things that you identified about yourself. And it made me feel so happy because you are seeing things on a deeper level. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, I like my eyebrows and I like my nose.
Oh, I actually don't like my eyebrows and my nose hairs.
That's why I picked them out.
Cheers.
You're welcome. But, it wasn't just like generic, like, things. And I did say we had to pick 2 aesthetic things as well, because I think it's important to like things about your appearance, because I think it's very easy to just be like, oh, I like my personality and I like how, like, how strong whatever. It's easy to pick those things, but it's harder to actually pick a genuine thing about your physical appearance that you like, because it's easy to hate your physical appearance. But I just genuinely was just so proud of you, Ring, to hear about the things that you were genuinely happy and that you genuinely loved about yourself. And it meant so much to me, because I'm like, you see yourself probably only a fraction of how I see you, but at least there's a fraction, and that's way more powerful than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just such a lovely evening for me, and just meant so much to me and my brain, and it just felt very, like, I don't know, pivotal for me. It just really was that realization that you genuinely know me. Like, not that you know me better than myself, because I was coming to that conclusion, but you know me like 5 seconds faster than I know myself. And that's scary, because I don't think we've ever been in that place in our relationship, but we're getting there now. Like, we have been there recently, but you know what I mean? It comes in waves, but it really just felt so truly like you just got it. And I thought once in my life I didn't even have to say anything.
So the thing that actually made me feel like I was overcompensating last night was and it's so interesting to me, you've actually not mentioned it, was that I basically like heated up your food, got you water, and then I was like, you're going to sit and you're going to eat this. And because you've not eaten, and you're like, I don't want to eat that food. I'm like, it's what we've got right now. So you're gonna sit, you're gonna eat this, and as a trade-off, I'm gonna do all the other things that you were supposed to do tonight.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's really interesting, because like that was the thing that made me feel like I was overcompensating.
Oh, really? Because you feel like you neglected me with my food.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't need to feel that way. That's my responsibility.
So that was really nice for me to hear, because like that wasn't the part that made me feel like I was overcompensating. That was.
I appreciate that as well.
Yeah, I know. But that was something that I knew you needed, and I had the bandwidth to do. And
this is what I'm saying. Yeah. You subconsciously know me better than you think you do. Because the fact that you thought what I needed in that moment was to sit and eat food. No, what I needed was to feel like you got it and you understand. Like, I'm in pain because of X. Like, you identified it for me. You're like, you're in pain because you went to the gym. You're pushing your body. It's amazing that you're doing that, and it's great, and it's going to feel better soon, but right now it's not going to. You took away that stress of having to be like, oh my God, like, you knew that I'm feeling so down right now because I'm feeling negative and because I feel like I'm taking out on you, and you identified it, and you were like, I know you're going to feel down, so it's not going to hurt me because you know, like, you're prepared for it and whatever. Like, you literally took away all of the, like, internal anxieties and worries. Yes, okay, you helped the physical thing as well, but that was what meant more for me. It's like, you saw my brain and you identified my brain, and you, like, you know, like, I don't know, you fixed it. You fixed it. I wasn't broken, but you fixed me. And that meant...
I'm so glad. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was really nice to hear.
That was my relationship this week. Thank you for that.
I feel like my relationship is a little, going to sound a little less climactic than but we got on 2 flights this week for Mother's Day, and I loved both of them. I really, really enjoyed the flights. On the first flight, we downloaded Adolescence. We get to check it out. Heard fantastic things, but we loaded off and we got, I don't know, 47 seconds in, and we were just talking, and then we paused it and we just kept on talking, and we were talking, and it was like 20 minutes into the flight that we both took our rib pieces out, put them away, and just spoke for the entire flight, and just caught up and just had a lovely old chat. And I don't even remember what we spoke about, but
everything. It
was just lovely. Yeah. I really enjoyed it, and the whole interaction, the whole flight was like going to the airport, and everything was actually just really, it was really positive. Yeah. And then we spent 3 days, Friday night, all of Saturday, all of Sunday, and then a Monday morning we came back together, and we hadn't seen each other. We spoke to each other on Messenger, but like we hadn't had a phone call. We were we'd actually effectively been quite distant.
Mm-hmm.
And we came back, and it was like we never left. And I'd really missed you, and it was just really nice to be able to catch up and compare notes, and just because we're both
spill the tea.
Yeah, we're both there for Mother's Day, so we were surprising both of our respective mothers, and so I just wanted to say we were surprising our mothers, and added in respective because it makes it sound like we have different mothers. I just want to be clear.
Yeah, just to confirm we
have different mothers.
And fathers.
And they share a name, but they are different.
Share a name,
but they are different men. And it was just really nice to be able to just catch up and just.
I just love talking with you.
Yeah, and that's why we're sitting here with you right now for this podcast. Because it's something that we decided one would be excellent for our relationship to just talk through and process unresolved emotions and talking about the future and being even more reflective about ours and other people's relationships on a whole other level. And I believe it will make us better people and better partners.
I think too.
Yeah.
It's going to get beefy sometimes though, guys. We've got a lot to talk through.
Yeah.
As I said, there's going to be the ups and the downs.
There will be. This has been quite an up episode. This has been nice.
We're started really positive.
Absolutely. I think we'll call it there. It's been really lovely. I was going to say dial in for next week.
Dial up that.
Dial in. Get that. Make sure that you check us out next week, or the week after.
So we're posting on Sundays.
Yeah, I think we'll post Sundays.
Yes. So we will be here. Are we going every Sunday? I thought we were doing fortnightly.
No.
I don't know.
We did say fortnightly. I don't know how long this is going to take to edit.
So true. We'll see. We'll be here on Sundays. It's either going to be every Sunday or every fortnight. We'll do a little ding here right now. So if you're watching on YouTube, then take a little look at the screen. It'll be on the screen. If you're on a audio platform, then check in the description.
Just make sure you tag that bell.
That notification bell.
So
check in the description. We will list how frequently we were going to upload. But we are really looking forward to the next one. We've got some really exciting things coming up.
We're gonna cut this. We're gonna post every fortnightly to begin with. So check us out in 2 weeks' time for the next drop of the Relationshits podcast.
Yes, we'll be back in 2 weeks. In the meantime, please do make sure that you leave any questions, comments, or concerns below. We are going to be doing a Q&A episode at some point, and a live episode as well.
And we have some exciting prospects in the future for
prospects. Are we in Bridgeton?
We are indeed.
We're in the Ton. Some exciting prospects in the Ton where we may be doing some.
Don't tell them what it is. I'm gonna bleep out that word so that they don't know what we're talking about.
We will be doing a episode or 2 or 3.
Yes, there shall be some courting involved.
Courting? Who are you courting?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
That's important as well.
It's very important.
Must keep courting. If you're taking notes, write down must keep courting. Don't wiggle the camera.
Must keep the relationship.
Must keep courting.
Alive.
Keep courting. Must keep courting. What do we do? We court.
That sounds like a Mary Poppins song.
It's Just Keep Swimming.
I know. But it just sounds like
it does. Because I'm
just keep courting.
Courting. That was really good.
Thanks so much.
Right, guys. How do we outro this? What do we do? Benji, what do you think we do?
Thanks so much for listening to us on the Relationships Podcast. We will see you next time.
Bye. That'll do. Donkey.